What are we playing? Doing these countdowns and stuff like that aren't going to matter all that much. It looks like my microphone is good. Welcome in, guys. As you come in, I'm going to let everybody come in here. I'm going to go ahead and try to share this stream out. Make sure as you're coming in, you're hitting that like button. Please, 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 and please. All right. It's going to be very, 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 very important. Let me go ahead and share these out. Yo, what's going on, Spartacus? Let me go ahead and put that right there. Let's see. I got to share this out. One second. Make sure as you're coming in, guys, hit that like button, please, 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 and please. Let's do. I gotta go through all these like self promo things. It's super annoying. Let's see. Ooh, excuse me, guys. Apologies. We got a lot to cover. One of the things we're going to cover today is the Don Lemon story. As you can see by the thumbnail, we are going to be covering some of the protests that are going on right now. 1 second. Let's see. What's that? I got to go through all these promotion things. It's really frustrating. I apologize for the late start, guys, too. We are going to try to do some more TikTok panels today. I don't know if we're going to jump in on any panels or not. We'll find out. I got a lot that I got to go through here. My dog's trying to figure out how to get into the net, but it'll be all right. Where am I doing? What am I doing? Almost done. Let's see. Almost done. I got a ton of these that I go through. What's going on, Aura? Welcome in. What do you think about the Don Lemon stuff? That's our prompt for right now. That is exactly what our prompt is. Almost done. Self promo. Okay, we'll rock with it. That's about all we're gonna be able to get through on it right now. Let's see. This should be it. Yep. All right. Now we can go and talk about it. So, what we have going on right now, guys, as you're coming in, hit that like button. I want us to see it, get as many likes as we can. If you're feeling froggy and you want to, uh-oh, dog's trying to knock over the light. Hold on. Crazy, bro. Crazy. I don't have a shot collar on her like Hassan, okay, guys? All right. So we have the Don Lemon stuff going on right now that we are well aware of. We have the ICE stuff that is going on as well. Let me try to make this chat log box a little bit bigger here. Yo, Aura, thank you for the subscription. I appreciate it. Go ahead and do that number right there. Okay. Let me go ahead and pull up our web source here. We're going to get talking about some politics. Make sure you're coming in and hit that like button. All right, solo web source, there it is. Window capture. And should be this one right here. Yep. All righty. Let's jump straight into it. So first and foremost, we have Tom the Man Homan. Yep, Tom Homan, that's correct. He is going to be taking over ICE, or the ICE operations in Minneapolis. Tom Homan is actually not that much better than I keep wanting to say Greg Bavino, I think is his name. Hold on, one here. There we go. All right. So he's coming in because of all the stuff that's going on right now in Minneapolis with Alex Peretti and things like that, right? Little Donnie likes to remind everyone he's okay, Jeff. So I think it's these drinks, guys. I'm drinking these Zevias and they're crazy. So Tom Homan came in. He's taking over for Greg Bavino. He put out saying this is common sense cooperation, allows us to draw down the number. They're saying they're going to draw down the numbers. I don't think that they're going to actually start drawing down these numbers. I think this is a ruse to try to calm protesters out there and give them a little bit of piece of information. We also have where ICE in Minnesota has been ordered not to interact with agitators. So these are some things we're starting to see there. We have seen where they're potentially, this is Minnesota State Police, that seem to be using things like LRAD, which are basically noise, kind of like real high-pitched noise things in a very funnel. So we're seeing where things are starting to ramp up. I imagine this week we're going to see a massive, massive protest. Last week we didn't really see much because of the cold, but I think we're going to see a lot more play out now. Then we had this little nugget. Just to show
as many people that touch you. Arrest as many.
Okay, I don't know why it's doing that. Hold on one second, guys. Hold on. My dog wants to go inside now. So give me just 1 second. Apologies, guys. All right. So we have this right here with Greg Bonvino. Listen to this.
Arrest as many people that touch you as you want to. Those are the general orders all the way to the top. Everybody fucking gets it if they touch you. You hear what I'm saying? Less legals. We're going to look at shipping tractor trailer loads of that shit in here.
And I want to be very clear. These less lethals that he's talking about, these gas canisters and stuff, there is speculation that these are carcinogenic, less lethal options. And this is the crazy thing that's been taking place, is that you have the Minnesota National Guard that's coming in and trying to quell these protests. But what ends up happening is the Greg Bufino, whatever, comes in and he's heavy-handed with their approach. They start lobbing some of these gas canisters and smoking out the police officers. So police officers retreat naturally because they're not like, whoa, what the heck, bro? We had it under control.
So you catch what it's all about us now. It ain't about them. Professional, legal, ethical, moral. You know what we're talking about. Legal, ethical, moral. You're on camera. But other than that, it's what we do. What city is it, Chief? Fucking ours. This is our fucking city.
It's our fucking city. This is the kind of thing that right now, that is honestly pretty gross, right? We talk about the humanity, and this is why I said I'm not someone who likes to talk about abolishing ICE, but I think that there becomes a point in time where we have to talk about, should we start disbanding ICE? Because this culture, you notice, it wasn't even Greg who prompted that, right? It was somebody else that said, hey, whose city is this, Chief? And he said, it's our city. It's not your city. This isn't your city. This isn't. This is Minneapolis. The Minneapolis PD city, sure. Their county city, sure. Their state city, sure. It's not your city. So that's pretty crazy. Wolfpack comes in. Ice tip line. Yeah. Okay. You know what? You want to play this game? There you go. Thank you. Bye-bye. We're not going to do all this. I don't have time for this. I'd rather have people in here that actually know what they want to talk about. What's going on, Wes? The right shouldn't be allowed to have a Greg Bovino and a Dan Bongino. It's too, dude. I can't tell you how many times I've sat here and I've said Dan Bonvino. I've mixed them up. Forgive me. And they are probably two different people because I think Dan Bongino got tired of not being able to do a podcast and he ended up leaving. And but yeah. So yeah, this is the kind of thing. And I listen, Wes, you know me. Many of you guys have known me. I've not been somebody that's real radical about trying to abolish anything, right? When it comes to like trying to abolish the police, I don't really want to get rid of the police. But I think this culture is so ingrained from the top down that if you're not going to abolish it, you sure as hell need to strip it down to the bare bones and you need to rebuild it. It is beyond repair at this point. Because even if you get rid of Tom Homan or Greg Bovino, or if you get rid of any of these people, right, you're going to still have the lower echelon that will eventually work their way back up, and it's just going to trickle right back down. Wes said Vince Harley wants to abolish the brown recluse in his basement. You're very right. Now, please don't say it because I'm actually in my garage right now, and some of the, there's spiders probably everywhere over here. Okay, Wes, I hope you're doing good too, by the way, buddy, man. I haven't seen you in a while. or talk to you in a while. Then there was this seismic event that took place. I think we talked about it a little bit, but we're going to dive into it a little bit more. Is we saw where Donald Trump went into Fulton County, their elections, and ended up taking some of their ballots to be reviewed. Now, I want to remind you that there was over 3 recounts done on these ballots, and Donald Trump is now taking it. Now, the problem you have here is the chain of custody. For people who aren't aware of what the chain of custody is, the chain of custody has to do with who's handing over. So it goes from person A to person B to person C. Where is it being stored? There's so much that goes into this. So there's a lot of questions around chain of custody because now someone's ballots are there. Senator John Ossoff said this is a seismic event. This is an FBI raid on the Fulton County Elections Office. Trump's conspiracy theories about the 2020 election have been based in Georgia from the very start. We have to be prepared for him to try to deprive people of their voting rights. And I keep talking about this because what we're seeing here is hold on one second. Sorry, there is some noise going on in the background. So what we have here is you can see some of the states giving DOJ full voter roll access. Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana. And if you actually go to the Brennan Center, you can actually start to see this of the states that are giving up their voter rolls. And I think it's incredibly, incredibly important that we talk about this. This is something that I don't think people are talking much about, and we ought to talk more about it. You guys on my stream probably are like, the ones that are watching this in vertical are probably like, what is going on? Take a look at this. The yellow are states that have been sued for not providing complete voter lists, including driver's license numbers and partial social security numbers. That's insane. The party that complained about the Patriot Act is now in support of this. That's pretty wild. That is pretty freaking wild. And not only this, think about what they're aiming for here. There's 2 objectives, I think, that are going on here. We know that the Trump administration prior to this ended up trying to get rid of, he tried to go through the IRS to look for undocumented migrants. I think there is a chance of voter purging going on. I've been advocating, I've been saying this for a while now. Please make sure you are checking your voter registration. It is incredibly, incredibly, incredibly important. Okay, if you're not able to check your voter registration, please do so because they are getting your voter rolls. If you are an undocumented migrant, I know this might be kind of crazy to say, but if you are an undocumented migrant, they may be purging you too. Now, you might be wondering, well, I thought, Vince, I didn't think they were going to be doing undocumented migrants. I didn't think they could vote. They can in some states and some local elections. They can certainly vote. So either and one of 2 things are going to take place. They're purging the voter rolls, or they're going to try to start looking for people that are undocumented migrants. Okay, that's what I predict is going to happen. You can also see some of these have just flat out not provided any voter list, but they're not being sued. The blue ones have provided a publicly available version of voter list or instructions on how to obtain it. These red states, Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, have provided or committed to provide complete voter lists, including your state is going to provide the federal government with your driver's license number and social security number. Now you might be like, well, what? They've got our... Yeah, but this is your state providing your information to the federal government. You know how many times I've heard conservatives say I've lost my guns in a boating accident? And now look at them. They're like, hey, you can have all the information you want, federal government. That is insane. That is insane, insane, insane. Chat's popping off. Let's see what they say. I feel like they should audit every election, expose factor, and verify every vote. There's a politician. That is a state's issue. It is not a federal issue. The same people in this chat right now that I guarantee you were saying states' rights and saying a federal government has no business being in my state are now saying, hey, daddy government, come check us out. Yes, we will get you nowhere to hide except up your mommy's. Okay, well, Virgil, if you want to, play very, like this, you can go somewhere else. I don't care. I think they're coming after Democrats. They're calling us. Yeah, I agree, Paula. Welcome in, by the way. Democrats are loser, unethical losers. Chris, you've provided no substance, but thank you. Yes, guys, as you're coming in, please double tap, hit that like button. We're at 7 likes. Let's get up to like 20. I'll lowball it tonight. Let's try to get up to 20 likes. Let's see if we can do that. I know we can. We have done it before. The orange one up here, which is, I believe, North Dakota, they've received other requests from DOJ, but no requests for voter lists. Why this is important is because the state of Minnesota, Kristi Noem, told Minnesota, we will remove ICE from your state if you provide your voter registration. They are using the full force and weight of the federal government to coerce the state to provide voter registration. Trump was impeached in 2020 and he was still able to run for re-election twice, and he may run for a third term. I do believe that Donald Trump will run for a third term. What I believe he's going to end up doing is what Steve Bannon has already essentially laid out, which is what is 2 terms, right? They're going to argue. Now, I will say this. I don't know if he's going to be successful in the running of this, but the argument he's going to make is what is 2 terms? Is it 2 consecutive terms, or is it 2 terms in general? Now, notice what this administration does. They ignore lower court rulings. They will only ever answer to the Supreme Court, and even then, they may do it on their own terms. Case in point, look at Abrego Garcia, right? So I see what's going to happen is they're going to try to run for a third term. He's going to get knocked down at the Supreme Court, but it's not going to stop him from actually going. Keep coping. You keep coping, Faded. You MAGA have such a deranged view, and I know that there's some troll bots on here, but I'm willing to engage the trolls. It provides some content. 3 million files dropped implicating Trump. Yeah, Dylan, I saw that as well. I don't know if I'll be covering it, but I will talk about it. I don't know if I have any stories up, but I will talk about it. Yeah, there were some heavy files that came out, y'all, that are very disgusting. Now, I want to be very clear in my due diligence here. These are accusations, but this goes back to what I was saying from the beginning, right? I do believe that people may have been investigated. I believe Trump may have been investigated on these. There's a lot to unpack on this one particular email. So, first of all, I do believe that Trump may have been investigated. However, because there's this is hearsay, meaning one person heard from a friend that they were involved with this or that. They may have gotten in touch with that person and the person didn't answer. They may have tried to get in touch with the victim, but the victim didn't answer. Let's be very clear. It does not mean that no crime did not happen. It just means there was not enough evidence to actually bring it forth for a trial. However, what we should also look at this is what I've been saying. I don't think we're going to get anything in here that is going to be criminally damning to Donald Trump. Even this, and I'm looking at this from a legalistic perspective, may not be criminally damning. However, and big asterisk, however, it does not mean that Donald Trump is not going to have to deal with the personal issues of this, the political ramifications of these accusations. And let's not ignore the fact that he hid these files for so long, that these were conveniently in the second one. Remember, on the first round of these batches, they provided a ton of documents that related to Bill Clinton, but conveniently not much to do with Donald Trump. So it's pretty crazy. Wilson, let's go get some. They'll keep us warm during this winter. Okay, what the hell? I legit thought Barron might be the only Trump without. Yeah, I mean, and the problem is with Barron, there's suggestions and rumors that I have heard that he is the one behind some of Trump's crypto dealings and stuff. A lot of the things of that nature. Also, sad stuff. This is something you follow. Double tap. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. American Patriot, you can go bye-bye. I'm not going to have you in my chat talking about Nick Fuentes. All right, let's see. Bro, I know you like Gucci. What's going on, bro? All right. So, other story we had going on right now is Trump was hanging this picture up alongside some family photos. him and Vladimir Putin. This is what I was saying too. So people were saying when this meeting happened, they said, "Oh, this is Donald Trump showing strength." Remember when the B-52 or whatever the hell it was, the bomber went right over Putin's head, and Putin looked up, and people were like, "Oh, look, Trump strong." Guys, that's Trump showing off his toys. That's Trump going, "Hey, Putin, look, you like that's pretty cool, huh? You like that?" Not a, "Hey, Putin, be warned." Every single step of the way, Donald Trump has kissed Putin's feet, given Putin the benefit of the doubt, believed Putin on every little word he has ever said. Always favored Putin. And this right here proves just that as well. So it's pretty crazy. Is this a meeting where he wasn't sure what country he was in? I think so, Tron. So again, I think that's something to keep in mind. Mind you, he also said he was going to end the war in Ukraine on day one. He said it numerous times, yet it never came to fruition. What's the other one we got here? Politics gave me high blood pressure. Gucci, listen, I've been doing this for 6 years and I have a little bit of high blood pressure. Not going to lie. All right. Trump is a loser. Absolutely. Testicle Johnson. What's going on, man? Brian Krasenstein said, so this is something that Trump was doing is that late at night, he was just posting a bunch of random True Social posts. It was pretty crazy. One of these ones that he posted was more bad news for Gavin Newsom. This is a fake post, by the way. The world's largest employer, Walmart, is closing 250 stores in California, citing $22 per hour minimum wage. He has this weird canny ability. And what's crazy is that he's going to post something from this like MAGA Times Daily News. He's a blithering old man. And speaking of blithering old man, here's Trump saying whenever he was busted sleeping or falling asleep, he would say, well, I wasn't falling asleep. But here he is. Clearly, I didn't sleep, just closed them because I wanted to get the hell out of here. Even though so the last cabinet meeting he had was like 3 hours long, okay? That was because of him. He was like, let's go around the room. And then, of course, every single person in his cabinet was like, yes, Daddy Trump, yes, Daddy Trump. You're so amazing, Daddy Trump. It was crazy. It was cringy. And Donald Trump was complaining about the cabinet meeting that he held. Here's the crazy one. He said, he talks about affordability and how affordability is, he doesn't like that word. And it's, it was created by Democrats and, he's bringing prices down. Here's Donald Trump bragging right here that I don't want to drive housing prices down. I want to drive housing prices up for people who own their homes. You can be sure that will happen. He wants to drive housing prices up, making it more unaffordable for Americans than it already is to buy a home. Now, here's my hot take. I think buying a home is honestly over exaggerated. And maybe that's just the you'll never own anything mentality that I have gotten myself to into. Listen, guys, owning a home, it's intense, right? You got to deal with property taxes, HOA. You've got to deal with all these other maintenance issues, certainly, that come up with the house. Listen, I rent. I don't mind it. I think it's pretty decent for me. Yes, you're paying a premium because you're renting. You're going to pay a little bit of that, profit margin, if you will. I don't mind it. I think, hey, if I got that AC out back that gets destroyed 9 times out of 10, now that's if you don't have a slumlord. Okay. Some people have slumlords and yeah, pretty crazy. But maybe that's just my hot take. I think a lot of people put way too much weight into the home as an American dream. If you try to use the argument that is a good investment vehicle, I wouldn't necessarily disagree, but there are other investment vehicles out there, namely, and this is not investment advice, obviously, but you got things like the stock market, mutual funds, things of all that nature, right? Look into those returns on your own time, but there's different ways of doing it. But nonetheless, Donald Trump going out there and saying, hey, I'm bringing housing prices up is antithetical to his idea that he's bringing prices down. Let's see. This clip should be run on every Dem attack head. That's because his brain is malfunctioning. Have lived during Biden years. I don't know what you mean. What do you mean? It's intense. Just don't live. HOA, take care of the crib. Then when the I hate psychoanalyzing people, but legitimately, you got to look in a narcissistic submission. That's what Trump does with all these people. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is I think Donald Trump is a narcissist, full and through. When people are not talking about him, he starts to just zone out and just go, out into daydream land. Here's some crazy things too. We were talking about prices going up. Let's also talk about what's happening in the job market, right? Right now, look at all of these layoffs over the last year. I don't know if you guys can see this on y'all's end on the screen, but UPS, 48,000 jobs lost. Amazon, 32,000 jobs lost. Intel, 27,000 jobs. Microsoft, 15, so on and so on and so on and so forth. Remember when Trump promised the golden age? Remember that? We're also seeing manufacturing jobs. The only thing that's really keeping the economy afloat with labor right now are government jobs and healthcare jobs. It's insane. Banks will be around for years and years. Keep staking. I'll say that. Lol. Yeah. Hey, host, go run for office. You prick. You're so smart. Listen, I've actually thought about running for local office, but unfortunately, I'm in an extremely deep red state. And I say a public figure, not that public figure in the sense that I'm famous, but there's no way I'd be able to run for election in the city or state that I'm in. Almost impossible unless I move to an inner city area. All right. Next, we have Donald Trump trying to acquire Alberta, Canada. So right here, you can see where Financial Times reports that Trump administration officials held covert meetings with Alberta separatists, even without formal backing. This crosses a line, engaging movements that seek to fracture close allies. So there's suggestions that Trump is holding meetings behind closed doors with Alberta separatist movement to potentially have Alberta separate. I don't understand this. I really don't understand this at all, other than one explanation, and that's oil. Alberta is a very oil-rich province. I can see where Trump may be trying to go into, say, Greenland and get the rare earth minerals. I can also see where he would go into, say, somewhere like he wants to go into Venezuela because of their heavy sour. He wants to go after Iran for regime change. Why might he do that? Is it because there might be some oil in Iran that he might be trying to work a more favorable deal with? But remember, Donald Trump said no new wars, but yet here we are once again. This is crazy. The Alberta separatists should be charged with treason, in my opinion. Doubt anything will be done with it, though. I say we let Trump expand America. We need more blue states. Tron, right? I mean, listen, Alberta is very red, just so you're clear. I have visited Alberta, Canada. I can promise you they consider themselves the Texas of the North. And every bit of the way, right? Whether it's their beef, whether it's their oil, whether it's their, MAGA pride conservative movement, whatever it be, they have a whole different way. They are literally separate from Canada and how they believe everything. I think oil is the cover story. This is all about Trump's emotions and how he feels. So, Tron, I think that's part of it. I think part of this is about emotion, but I think a lot of this also has to do more with the idea of oil and minerals. I think that's the underlying. He will use certain legal claims. So, for example, with Greenland, he said, well, we need it for national security. Now, he uses this word very particularly because he knows that he can get away with national emergencies. You realize, most people don't realize this, the reason he's able to implement these tariffs and not have to go through Congress is because he declared national emergencies, IEPA, right? There's other national emergency put in place for China. So that's how he's justifying these things. Next thing we got up is this right here. This is pretty crazy. This was Bush in 2007 in the Oval Office. Pretty basic, pretty simple, right? And here's what the Oval Office looks like now. It's so gaudy. It looks so bad. So bad. And I don't get what's up with all of these, freaking mirrors, all of the things there. There wasn't even really mirrors up whenever Bush was in office. It's pretty crazy. This one's pretty crazy, guys. So let's talk about this one, man. Trump suing his own IRS for $10 billion. Now, let's read this because this is very fascinating. Awarding plaintiffs pursuant to 26 U.S.C. 7431 the greater of either $1,000 in damages for each unauthorized disclosure of their tax returns. To be clear, this is Donald Trump suing alongside, I believe it's his son, President Donald J. Trump, Trump Jr., Eric Trump, and the Trump Organization. And they're seeking at least $10 billion. And then this is the thing. It was reported they're wanting $10 billion. No, they want at least $10 billion. But catch this. or the actual damages sustained by plaintiffs and all related entities, including each of the 418 Trump organization affiliated entities that received notices from the IRS, which also amounts to at least $10 billion. This is insane. What's going on, Dan? Like, think about this. Donald Trump suing his own IRS for $10 billion. Now, this took place back in 2020. Why did he wait 6 years to do this? Oh, maybe because he thought he was going to run again. And then guess what? Bada bing, bada boom. He can get the money from his own IRS. It is baffling levels of corruption. But as we know, MAGA has no line. MAGA is sycophanical. They are a cult, and they don't care. They'll say, well, yeah, he's due the $10 billion. It's insane, even though the whole point of Doge was government efficiency. Now, this is what we're going to get into, is we're going to talk about the Don Lemon situation. And before we get into Don Lemon, let's go ahead and fire up TikTok so we can get this one ready for guys here. I should be able to have this stuff up and ready to go this time around. Oh, come on. Come on. There we go. All right, let's go live. Let's see here. Effects. Almost done. Hey, make sure as you're coming in, you hit that like button, please. Gets us pushed out to the algorithm, gets us more views, more favor. Oh, there we go. Or not. Come on. Pop up. There we go. All right. Live goal. Edit goal. Come on now. Gotta find the galaxies here. There it is. Customize. Oh, that's not right. 10. Confirm. 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 Save. God dang it. Vince, Don Lemon released a new video about an hour ago. Yeah, we'll take a look at that one, Dan Fries. We'll take a look at that. Right now, I'm trying to get TikTok going up and running here. He spoke truth, but the energy dude exuded kind of put me off. He spoke truth. What, are you talking about Don Lemon? I don't know what you're referring to there. There's the galaxy. Customize. Confirm. 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 Save. All right. Let's go live. Let's do this. Support Don Lemon. Oh, let me do this. This makes it easier. Don Lemon indictment. Request that. We're going to start doing TikTok debates. Donald Trump supporters. Stuff. I got to get better at these. Live. All right, so we're going live. There we go. Ooh. All right. There we go. Let's see. Conservatives request up. What's going on, everybody on TikTok? Hope you guys are doing well. We are live on YouTube, The Vince Wilson Show. Welcome in. We are about to start talking about the Don Lemon story. What's going on, Costa? Live feed scroll. Yeah, no, absolutely, guys. As you're coming in here, guys, make sure you hit that tap that button. I wanted to get up to about 1,000 taps. Come on, it's easy to do, guys. On 10 of you guys that need to tap it as you're coming in. As you can see here, guys, if you are a conservative, request up. I want to hear more about what you guys have going on. Again, we're going to be talking about the Don Lemon situation going on. We've already talked a little bit about the corruption that's going on with the IRS and the $10 billion. So it's going to be pretty crazy. Gucci Wilson. What is it, Gucci? Wilson. Hit that tap button. What is going on, everybody? We are going to be talking about. So let's talk about this Don Lemon situation as y'all are coming in. So what happened is Donald Trump ended up arresting Don Lemon. This comes after, by the way, Don Lemon and the protesters went in front of federal appeals court, and it was determined that the DOJ did not have arresting authority. Give me 1 second. I gotta go let my dog in here. Tap, 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 tap. Conservatives request up. All right. So, and if you're on YouTube, please hit that like button. So, yeah. So, Don Lemon went in front of an appeals court, and it was determined that they were, what's going on, guys? So, it was determined that there was no legal basis to indict Don Lemon. And Don Lemon went in and ended up, and please on TikTok, share this out. That's what the algo loves when people share. So, anyways, so then Trump went in, like he doesn't care about the law anyways to begin with, went in and then arrested Don Lemon. Of all people, arrested Don Lemon under like some kind of conspiracy. And then when they brought forth the indictment was even more crazy. The indictment, which I don't know if I have up here or not, which I don't, the indictment itself basically just said that Don Lemon was an observer. That was it. And then some of the evidence they used was saying, well, guess what? He's going to go in and he was talking with them, asking them where is this going to take place? Things like that. And then when they got there, they said he blocked the door. Guys, if you look at the video, he didn't block the door. He was in the pathway of the door, but he did not block the door the way they are doing this. What this is another suppression of free speech. We've seen this from Don Lemon's own attorney where he mentioned this. And there's a host of other situations where we saw people like Don Lemon facing serious consequences. Don't forget, you can look at Jim Acosta. Jim Acosta's press pass was taken away for crying out loud. Right? So this is the problem we have right now. By the way, if you are on TikTok, tap, 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 tap. Let's get up to 1,000 taps. And let's also share this out if you can. The craziest thing about this is not the first time Donald Trump has gone after the First Amendment. Donald Trump did this in his first administration when he banned Jim Acosta from coming to the press pool. He did this with the Associated Press, banning them from the press pool. He has raided a Washington Post reporter's own house. We've seen where Donald Trump has gone after and sued CBS, NBC, CNN. They've threatened CBS when they were going to report on something. Caroline Leavitt said, we'll sue your ass off. We are in some crazy, crazy times right now. The First Amendment is looking more thin and thin as it ever gets. We talk about Donald Trump and the Second Amendment, and yet he's come out numerous times talking about how you shouldn't be carrying a pew-pew to a protest. It's pretty insane. He's talked, and the First Amendment goes well beyond the press, to be very clear here. Goes to the right to protest as well. Donald Trump wanting to ban the burning of the American flag. Controversial, understood. But he's gone after that. We've seen where Donald Trump has gone after the 14th Amendment and U.S. birthright citizenship. Lips don't match video over here. Tron, it could be because of the audio or the video. I have my soundboard, so that's certainly possible. That's what's going on. But hey, hit that tap, tap, tap button, guys, on TikTok, okay? Listen, we're at 494. Let's get up to 1,000. If you are a conservative, please request up. I'd love to hear you and why you love Donald Trump and why you are such a MAGA sycophant. That's a little better now. Yeah, it might be a connection thing, too. 15 people watching your show, LOL. Yeah, 15 people that I am absolutely happy to have in my show right now. How many do you have, Chris? None? Okay, then. Exactly. Yes, TikTok. I am streaming, by the way, on YouTube. So if you come up, let's see if you can debate me real well. But anyways, Democrats went after him with lawfare, so he's returning the favor. Yeah, I don't think any amount of lawfare in this regard even matches to what happened to Donald Trump. Namely, you would also have to say that what happened with Donald Trump was even lawfare to begin with. I think what's happening right now is explicitly lawfare. Whereas what you could say with Donald Trump is that it may have been lawfare, may not have been. I think it's explicitly stated now that what Donald Trump is doing is going after his political enemies. He's going after Lisa Cook, for example, on the Fed Board of Governors. He's gone after Jerome Powell. He's gone after Fannie Willis. He's gone after Bragg. He's gone after so many different individuals. He's gone after Don Lemon. Okay. Numerous people. I be the MAGA. What's going on, Vader? But I mean, there's so many different areas that they're going after. It's like, when is that line? Vader is in TikTok, and he's a good viewer, a good friend of mine. For YouTube guys who are not aware, I'm on TikTok a lot, and Vader's on there. And we had, a bit of a conversation earlier. My whole thing is this: where is that line? MAGA continuously does this, right? Where they'll do this weird, funny line. They'll be like, "Oh, no, this is my line," and then they do something stupid. And they're like, well, no, it's this line. No, it's this line. Oh, well, this is okay. It's always changing the script. TikTok's heavy like a preacher. What's going on? Well, Vince, he taught me a new word according to Webster's dictionary. Didn't know lawfare was a word until today. Yeah. So again, it's pretty crazy to me to see what Donald Trump is doing. If you are coming in on TikTok, please request up if you're a conservative. I'd love to debate you on this. Wanting to know what your thoughts are. I've heard a lot of conservatives, you mentioned Venezuela, for example, being their line, and then they did it. And then when he went in, they said, well, it was a quick raid. It wasn't actually, an invasion. You see how that works? And then they'll say, well, I'll stop whenever Donald Trump starts arresting citizens or puts troops on our streets. There's never a line. Yo, Vader, thank you for that. I appreciate it, man. So I think it's pretty crazy. Vince, what's going on? Lady Wendy, what's going on? Yeah, I am right now doing YouTube and TikTok. Welcome in. This is kind of weird, okay? I'm not used to doing TikTok and YouTube. So right now, if you see me looking straight, I'm talking to you, TikTok. If I'm looking over here, I'm talking to YouTube. Quick COD campaign ghost. You do realize when you say they are going after that, you sound like you have schizophrenia? No, I'm saying exactly what's the facts. I'm not putting any kind of spin on this whatsoever. Donald Trump has already tried going after Don Lemon. He's gone after Lisa Cook. If you don't know who that is, the Fed Board of Governors. He's gone after numerous people. This is not talking schizophrenia. I'm looking through some of just this random chat here. Let's see. Well, on YouTube, we don't know how many he has on the tickety-talkety. Well, so on TikTok, I got like 5 viewers. It's not a whole lot. I will say normally during these live streams last year, I had a whole lot more viewers. It was pretty crazy. Well, so I need, Jesus, Gucci. Violating the Constitution, Bill of Rights is classified as treason. Well, hold on, Dylan. Chill. Listen, I'm not going that far, to be very clear. This is why I've tried saying this in the way I have. I think the remedy here is impeachment. That is what I think. The case is very much laid out. I think that if you can sit there and say what Nixon did was impeachable, then what Donald Trump is doing 100-fold over is even worse. If you listen to conservatives radio from 2000, everything they said Obama would do, Trump has. Yeah, exactly, Tron. If you look at what's taken place, everyone said that Kamala Harris was going to be this next communist thing. I think that's kind of the crazy thing about all of this, right? Is they said Kamala Harris would invoke communism and start taking over, and there'd be government overreach and government-run programs, and they kind of did the Mamdani treatment on Kamala Harris, and yet here we have Donald Trump owning stake in certain companies, trying to avoid Congress. As much as I love TikTok, he has ended up trying to expand the deadline when he wasn't congressionally approved to do so. We've seen where he wants to go up to the 14th Amendment, your due process rights. There's a huge party shift happening. Yeah, Lady Wendy, I don't know if I would say it's a party shift or the horseshoe theory, right? Because I think that's kind of the issue I have right now is, like, I think there's a whole bunch of things going on. I think that Trump is far right, okay? I think a lot of the policy he holds are authoritarian, right? You could say the same about the left. This is the whole idea behind horseshoe theory, right? Which is that the far right and the far left have more in common than the moderates do. And that's kind of the same thing that's going on here that I think is playing out. Both communists believe in government control over corporations. Exactly, Sean. That's exactly it, right? So I don't think that just because he espouses some similarities with the left that it is now there is a new party switch. Rather, I think what is taking place here is that there's a bigger move to the far right. Now, you would say that, people like Nick Fuentes and things of that nature don't support Donald Trump. So how is he extremely far right? I don't know if I'd go that far. I think there are authoritarian tendencies within this government that certainly appear that way. I mean, obviously the Don Lemon thing, to name one thing, the corruption, the government corruption with taking $10 billion in the IRS. That's insane. Interesting. It's not necessarily totally different. Maybe horseshoe meets swap. Maybe. I think the thing I see a lot of is that if anything, the Overton window might be shifting over to the right a little bit because of how the thing about that people have to understand is that the party of the right has this kind of unique bell curve, almost like this. It's a real tight bell curve. Whereas on the left, we have this kind of flatter bell curve, right? It's more like a hill instead of a mountain. And so what happens is when this side moves a little bit over to the right, it pulls that Overton window over with them. And that's what I think is happening right now, is that they are moving right and it's moving everybody over. So the moderates, like I was moderate conservative, and now here I am as a liberal, and now I'm a liberal who's calling for the abolishment of ICE, which is crazy. And I think it's because Trump has moved it over. So is it a party shift? Maybe. Could it be an Overton shift? I think it's more along that lines. I think it's just liberals look similar. There are people who believe in freedom and democracy. And let's be very clear, in the grand over scheme of the political compass, liberals are almost the same as, or liberals are on the right. Right. Even as I think you could say some progressives may even be on the right. I was conservative pre-Trump too. Exactly, Lady Wendy. It's pretty crazy. I'm going to use that one, Costa. Let's see. I didn't read on this. Don Lemon's case will end the same way as Comey, Letitia James, Fannie Willis, et cetera. Exactly. And that, Dan, I think that's kind of the thing I'm looking at here, right? Which is, are they doing the Don Lemon thing as like they know that this is going to fail in the courts, but they're doing this as a means of punishment to say, don't do this. And I think that's terrifying. I think that's terrifying, and we should not be acceptable of that. And it scares me to see MAGA going the way that they are going. I think the people that are left in the MAGA movement, I've said this quite a bit, I'll say this again. I think the people that are left in the MAGA movement are the like super hyper concentrated versions of MAGA. They're the ones that have no principles, no lines, no backbones, no spine. I was a Democrat until the DNC visibly effed Bernie Sanders over, registered independent due to that BS. And listen, I think this is the one thing I keep trying to tell people from the left is when we talk about what's going on with ICE, I have had people that have gone in here and told me we need to do more on the left. And they meant more in the sense of taking up arms. And I'm like, no, guys, we are winning this rhetoric right now. Poll after poll after poll after poll shows when it comes to Greenland, Donald Trump is uniquely unpopular in that regard. When it comes to immigration, Donald Trump is losing Latino voters. Okay. We are winning just by doing what we are doing. Okay. So I think that is something that we have to keep in mind is when we are engaging with this. Okay. We need to keep in mind we are winning. We don't just don't put your gas pedal down more and don't go 100 miles an hour. Just tap it lightly, keep it coasting at 65 miles per hour. Don't break the speed limit. We're doing fine. I get the emotions. I understand that what happened to Alex Peretti is absolutely gross. Have you debated influences followers recently? I have had quite experience. Lady Wendy, I have not, but it would be pretty wild. The problem is I've been engaging people like Studs and who else? Chris. There's a few other people, but I have not had the opportunity to debate some of the Groypers. It's been pretty crazy. You're a great bro. Be safe. I gotta go lay down. Hey, get you later. Hey guys, make sure if you have not already on YouTube, please subscribe. Please hit that like button. Okay. Right now, I think we are, I don't know where we're at right now, but just hit that like button. I'm trying to get up to 20 likes if we can. Right now, I think we're holding at about 20 viewers. So TikTok. Where y'all tapping? We're at 804 hearts. Let's get them up there more. I know the more that I stream, the more it'll probably pop up. But I have a soft spot for Studs, even though he even drives meds. I get Studs' point. Okay, for anybody on YouTube who's like, who's Studs? Studs is a guy on TikTok that I engage with very frequently. By the way, on YouTube, if you want to see me debate, I get on TikTok pretty much every day. On the way home from work or the way to work, I get on TikTok and I'm engaged in debate. I'll even do it on the weekends when I'm bored and I don't have anything to do. So Studs is a character in the TikTok debate sphere, and a character, it is true. But Studs is kind of the pedantic guy. He'll kind of sit there and provide an argument that is against it. And it's kind of like a good straw man to kind of swing at a little bit and have fun with. We have fun. Exactly, lady. Thank you, Strawn, for following. Appreciate it. Yeah, guys, keep tapping. Let's try to get to 1,000. I think I'm going to do that right now. How much would the West cheer if Russia and China were openly fighting? I don't know, but I can tell you right now, I'm a never TikToker guy. You know, Dan, listen, it's actually really funny because I remember when TikTok was coming around, I said, I'm not going to do TikTok. And I remember like vehemently, I was telling my wife, I'm like, I'm never going to get on there. I'm not going to do it. And here I am. I actually love it. I think it's really great. I've been on there. I've had some. It was funny when listen, subtle brag. When I first went on there, I started uploading videos and I got like 100,000 views, 200,000 views. And it was right around election time, so it was probably because it was popular. And this was before all of the drama about them moving over. And I was like, "There's no way." I'm like 200,000 views. I'm like, "That's nothing. That's like normal." Like that's weird, right? And like I'm sitting there and like all of a sudden I get a 1 million hit view, and as I'm sitting here, like what I would consider TikTok famous, I guess. Okay, so little brag, I guess. It was kind of funny because I was like, "What the hell?" Lady Wynn said, "I'm going to roll around the TikTok streets and see if I can yell at MAGA." I'll swing back. Okay, sure, no problem, lady. Appreciate you coming in. I think that's kind of the crazy thing is that like I saw success on TikTok. I said, "Okay, this works." Of course, I didn't capitalize on it. That's the story of my freaking life, right? But anyways, let's get back to the topic. So Trump and the First Amendment. Obviously, we had a lot of going on with Trump. The First Amendment. We're also seeing some of our people's due process rights. We saw this with Comar Abrego Garcia, by the way. It was just absolutely atrocious to see what's taking place. If you had to go with the U.S. or some European country, there's how. Well, and here's the crazy thing, right? Is that like even with the Greenland or Board of Peace, we can talk about the Board of Peace. Trump put together like a Board of Peace that has like no big country in it. It's all like Middle Eastern countries, which is crazy because I'm sure that some of those countries on that list are probably trying to vie for some kind of favor from Trump. That's how this administration works. This administration works on what can I do? What can you do for me? And I will give it back to you. And he has a certain unique favoritism towards dictators. It's quite weird, to be very honest with you. Would you like to know the one singular thing I like about Trump? Sure, Dylan. What is one singular thing you like about Trump? I would love for anybody, by the way, if you were on TikTok and you happen to scroll through it right at the point, right, perfect time, please request up. I love a debate. Yeah, so I think listen, and I'll tell you guys, as someone who was a previous MAGA supporter, I voted for Trump in 16 and 20. I wish I didn't vote for him in 20, but I did. I ended up voting for Kamala Harris in 24, and I voted for Colin Allred in 24. And I'm damn glad that I did. I wish that I would have voted for them, for Biden in 20. But it works in my favor because, some people will be like, well, why did you vote in Biden? I'm like, well, I didn't vote in Biden. Every single piece of absolute filth is flocking him, like moths to flame. They out themselves a piece of. Yeah, I think, Dylan, that's the kind of nice thing about it, right? Is that anytime someone comes and kisses Trump's ring, they reveal who they really are, right? Like them coming there and saying, like, they show how little they care about their actual policies and their actual constituents. It's pretty crazy. And I think the other thing too about Trump too is that it's amazing to see how many people are willing to give up their principles just to get in power. Marco Rubio is a great example of this. If you look at anybody, like he's sitting on the couch, Marco Rubio is just kind of like, the memes that go around of him in like a different costume. That dude sold his soul. It was actually funny too. If you look at JD Vance, right? JD Vance did the same thing. The issue is all the right-wing influencers are going to say that they weren't pro-Trump. Right. No, I agree, Tron. And I think that's kind of the thing too, is that when we look at like these pro-Trump influencers, they're starting to move away from Trump. Quite frankly, I think they are starting to move a little bit away from him. They're starting to see like, hey, they all have their own line in some regard or another. But don't make no mistake. I think there are certain people that are involved in this administration. So Ted Cruz is a good example. Yeah, man, don't even start with Ted Cruz. Did y'all see what happened during the winter storm? Listen, I know I wasn't streaming back to streaming when I did this, but Ted Cruz left Texas right before the winter freeze. Like, you can't make it up. This man needs to pay attention to the weather. Marco Rubio has been... Yeah, and this is the crazy thing about these stories, right? Is that there's so many of these stories that happen so quickly. We tend to forget what happened the day before. Like, I had to go back when I was doing my video today about... I just realized that my dog is laying down right near the bread thing. I note, like, when I was going through trying to find all of these things that took place for the press, I forgot how much stuff has taken place over the past year. Guys, we're only 1 year into this administration, but it feels like we're on the 4th year. it is insane just to see how much stuff has actually happened. And you know, when you look at the boats, we forget about the double tap controversy. I don't even know where that's at. I don't know where that's at. The double tap controversy was a big deal. But this is the problem. I was saying this today on a TikTok live. As I said, listen, I go to sleep to breaking news. Last night I went to sleep to hearing that Donald Trump is going to try to rob the IRS of $10 billion, only to wake up and then find out Don Lemon's been arrested. And then it would not surprise me if tonight something crazy happens. And then all of a sudden now we're talking about that particular topic. And then the next day something new happens. It is amazing how they flood the zone. You know, it's just baffling to me. Guys, we made it to 1,000. Sweet. We did it. Awesome. Please hit that heart button. Yo, Hortensio, what's going on? We live in a breaking news now. Hey, listen. If anybody doesn't know on YouTube, I'm the breaking news guy of TikTok. All right. Aaron Parnes. Okay. He does his little breaking news thing. I'm the real breaking news. You want your independent breaking news? You come to me on TikTok. Okay. Don't worry about Aaron Parnes. Okay. I'm your real true blue. I have no backing other than you, the viewers. Okay. Subtle plug. If you know you want to subscribe, you know, if you want to donate a super chat, YouTube or something. All right. Listen, tough times are tough. But no, I listen, guys. Yeah, we do live in a world now where there's breaking news literally every single minute, every single hour. Today we had, for great example, this morning we had Don Lemon, and by noon we had the Jeffrey files. We stopped talking about Don Lemon. I mean, it is insane to see. That's due to mind control tactic popularized by the CIA's media bombardment. Well, I think, Dylan, from what I've understood, this is actually a Steve Bannon playbook. From my understanding, that's what Steve Bannon has done. Hortensia said the perks of technology and globalism. Yeah, so the perks of technology, I think this is actually a great comment, actually, Hortensia. I think our technology has made our society worse. I have actually held this for quite a while. I think that the reason why we are way more politically involved now is because the technology and how easy the information is. And sometimes that information is way too easily accessed, okay? I had a conversation with somebody on TikTok a couple of weeks ago, and they claimed to be 20 years old. Again, that's what they say. And it was wild to me because they said that they found the like Kanye West stuff when they were like 14 years old. And I'm like, are we that terminally online? I'm like, when I started listening to this conversation, I was very much like, I've never been black pilled before where I'm like, no, we're in doomed society. It was the first time I ever felt like, okay, yeah, we need to start like age limits on social media sites, like something, right? Like something to do, because this is getting way out of hand. The fact that there's this pipeline that they're capturing our youth. And it's not just politics, to be very clear and very fair here. BX Bullet on X, and make what you will of her name and her views. She's uncovered a lot of crazy shit when it comes to some of the people and the teenagers and shit that they're doing online. It's insane. I've never been one to try to sit here and be like big daddy government and put, listen, the more I hear this, the more I'm going left. And this is the kind of thing I've had happen in my transformation of being liberal, is that the more I hear from MAGA arguments, the more that I hear about this pipeline, the more that I want to sit here and go, yeah, you know what? I'm moving to progressive. Fuck it. I'm going to progressives. I would agree. It's also because the media sells dopamine and not news. Social media is bad for underdeveloped brains. Yeah. And Hortensia, it's actually really funny because I've talked about this before as well, that because some people, there is something to be said about the age of 25 for young men when their brain is actually fully developed. Right. I don't like raising the voting age to 25. Right. I don't want to do that. I think that it's a whole society. I think me and you might have talked about it too, Hortensia. I feel like we've already, as a society, kept 18 as the age of adulthood. And so I think to move it to 25 would create an entire societal change that would be well beyond it. But I think there's something that we have to take consideration with, like our justice system. I think, namely, our justice system should be a good start in this, right? Where we look at somebody who's 18, 19 years old, and we're sentencing them to life or potentially an unaliving penalty. There's certain things we really need to look at when it comes to that reform and understanding the psyche that goes on in that child's brain. I have become more and more reformist in that regard, and I would love to see people actually try to turn towards, I think it's not retributive, rehabilitative reform in the criminal justice system. Dims of Virginia pushing to drop it to 16 years old. Yeah, I mean, look, I think it depends, right? So like, this is what I was saying about society, right? Because if in Virginia, for example, say you're able to, you can't vote, but not yet. It depends on the situation in which society allows. If you can move out on your own at 16 and start participating in the community around you on your own at 16, you're impacted by the policies that take place. So it's that difficult situation. Like, I still wouldn't say a 16-year-old is fully developed more than an 18-year-old. Certainly not, right? Certainly not. I don't think it's good for 16-year-olds to vote no matter the party. Tough one. I have to sit on that one more because I don't know how I feel about it. That's why I said I'm liberal. I'm not really a progressive, right? Remember when Republicans were all about small government? Yeah, Dan Price. I remember when they were about small government, and now I'm watching them be like, very big government. We were just talking about it earlier. I don't have it up anymore. Actually, I do have it up. Let me go ahead and show you this. I don't know if you're in here earlier. TikTok, if you don't know what I'm showing, it is a map of all of the states that have given over their voter rolls. I can't talk too much about this on TikTok, so I'm going to use certain language. YouTube might be wondering, why am I using certain verbiage? So I might refer to it as competition, okay? But anyways, Texas has provided or committed to provide, Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, I believe that's Indiana, and there's a few other states in the middle of the country that, forgive me because my geography skills of U.S. geography is terrible. But anyways, they have provided or committed to provide complete lists, including driver's license numbers and partial social security numbers. I remember a time back in the early 2000s, for example, when we did not have the situation, sorry, I was just looking at my TikTok thing where they talked about the Patriot Act, right? The early 2000s, the Patriot Act, and they're spying on you. And then there was, I remember the congressional hearings even under Biden, right? When it came to big social media companies and what they were doing to spy on you. You remember that? I remember that when social media, and then it was so awkward because you had a lot of these older, like 80-year-old Congress members getting up there asking, is someone sitting behind a computer watching your posts on Facebook? I don't know if y'all remember it. It's classic. It's a classic. If you ever get bored, go to a congressional hearing where they're talking about it. It's pretty crazy. Honestly, be 100% for the Constitution, Bill of Rights, progressive nowadays. Honestly, that's what scares me. Yeah, Dylan, I agree with you. That's the crazy thing about it, right? Is that nowadays, if you are a pro-Constitution, if you are, hell, to be very honest with you, I've said this before. I actually think that the left wing in America right now is more patriotic than the right wing. We're for constitutional rights, right? Like, we're for birthright citizenship, which is part of the Constitution. We're for freedom of speech, whether that be burning the flag, whether that be protest, whether that be freedom of the press. This goes back to what Lady Wendy was saying earlier. I don't know if I'd say it's a party switch. Maybe the Overton window is shifting a bit, but I'm just saying, I feel like the left wing is more patriotic right now than the right wing. Hell, for that matter, we're seeing protests where they're carrying around pew-pews. And when I say pew-pews, YouTube, understand I'm on TikTok, so I'm having to use TikTok-friendly language. Sorry, I saw Hortensia say something. I don't like it, but we act like they don't already have access to our phone. Well, listen, so in Hortensia, to be fair, when I talk about big government and things like that, I think maybe me and you agree. I'm not sure on this one. But like I've said this before to many people, I'm like, look, when we talk about data and big government and things like that, if you grew up in the early 2000s or thereafter, right, the government's got any bit of information you've already got, right? So, but it is interesting nonetheless, because it is a conservative party for the past several years, past couple of decades, that have talked about big government, right? And what is Facebook monitoring, the censorship of social media platforms, right? And it is just wild to me because like I've sat there and I've said this. I'm like, look, I have been online since to the 2000s, the early 2000s. Okay, when I was a child. Okay, I've been online, whether it be Xbox Live groups, whether it be Facebook, MySpace, Instagram, whatever it may have been, Snapchat for that matter. My online presence, if you guys go look at the TOS, you would be absolutely surprised to see what the information that they gather from you. Okay. They can build a whole profile of my entire life well beyond when I'm gone. Okay. So I'm not worried about the government watching me per se. And they have many ways of doing that. We still defended Kirk's ability to speak. Exactly, Dan. That's exactly right. Right. Charlie Kirk. We defended his ability to speak. We didn't, and I think the best thing to do in those situations where you think somebody's being bigoted is to put them out there. I've wanted to, in many instances, advocate for censorship and saying, well, let's not let this person speak. And I think that their rhetoric amplifies, but I think we're at a point where those people's rhetoric is much smaller than the common man. So we're for free speech. Tron said, and then surgically remove their Second Amendment. Yeah. Danny, right about Rubio. Rubio had been doing that too. Where is it here? Charlie Kirk said empathy was a weakness, so I ain't showing you. Well, and let's be very clear here, right, Dylan? We don't have to show any kind of like empathy per se, right? We don't even have to show sympathy. We don't have to show anything like that. Rather, what we can do is we can engage in the conversation, and we can try to put. And here's the thing, guys. I don't know if many of you know this. One of the things that Charlie Kirk or other big right-wing debaters do. There's a few of them that are probably really, really well versed in this, but majority of them rely on people not being well versed on facts. I'm not going to rehash a debate I've had previously. You can fill in the blanks on where that is. You can go look for it and find it yourself. I have had debates with a few large creators, okay? And they did not expect me to come with any facts, like any facts. They were big on philosophy and things of that nature. And so what I would go in and do is I would just simply provide, like, it's amazing when you know what you're doing, how easily it is to debate these people, especially on the right. And that's what I'm trying to do on TikTok, but we got like 3 viewers. Listen, last year I was popping off, all right? Last year I had like 100 or 200 viewers on TikTok immediately when I went live. Now I got like 5. We'll get there, TikTok. Listen, guys, just keep sharing the stream and tap in the screen and we'll eventually get there. But it's amazing to watch. And we were showing how much we despise him. Well, listen, here's the thing. I want to be very clear when it comes to the Charlie Kirk thing. There was a lot of people that were being, doxxed and all that other crazy stuff. You might need to team up with some bigger TikTok liberal debaters. Well, so Tron, the thing is on TikTok, I do a lot of debate panels. First of all, it is Friday. Okay. So one of the things about Friday right now is that there are a lot of TikTokers that are on other panels. A lot of the people I engage with, Hortensia was just in here. We saw Vader for a minute. Those are some of my friends on TikTok. So if you are somebody that watches a lot of Twitch debates or YouTube debates, come over to TikTok, guys. I promise you, it reminds me of the old school Twitch debate scene. LP said F ICE. Yeah, I mean, listen, to go back to the earlier conversation about ICE, I think ICE is severely having overstepped their boundaries. I think the Democrats have absolutely sold their constituents out. I think that the Democrats, by getting that 2-week extension for DHS funding, I think they're hoping that some kind of major event takes place to where in the shadow of the night, they can pass that funding bill. I have heard people say, I don't think, people were telling me, well, you don't quite understand what's going on. I understand that last year, Chuck Schumer said, I'm not going to pass the bill. And then the very next day ended up passing the funding bill. This is the problem I have, is that the only reason Donald Trump is able to get away with what he's able to get away with is because we continue to allow him to get away with it. Right? What we've seen is that when you pressure Trump, he caves, he tacos, right? For example, Greenland. Most people don't know this about Greenland. What happened with Greenland is that he got put in a precarious situation because EU was like, yo, we're going to send our troops to Greenland. And they were doing that. And then the EU, the morning of the deal, he met with the Mark Rutte, who was the NATO secretary. Mark Rutte is a very big MAGA sycophant. Okay. So what they ended up doing is they came up with this framework of a deal. Long story short, there was no deal. It's back to where it was to begin with. So this is the problem I have, is that it's very, very easy to see that when you apply pressure, Trump caves. He chickens out. We can look at the Mexico tariffs. We can look at Cuba tariffs. We can look at Canadian tariffs. Anytime the country has bucked back, he cowers down. And to be very clear, even the trade deals that he has done are not really trade deals. They're like promises by the government that are going to go into this fund, I think is what it is. And then through that fund, oh, thank you, Messi, for the heart me. I appreciate it. I just saw that. And thank you for sharing the live out. Appreciate it. Oh, we got a request. Who is this? Oh, it's Messi. Let's talk with Messi. We haven't got anybody else up coming up. And it's a good time for me to test this too, to see. Messi, can you hear me? Oh, hold on. I cannot hear you. Uh-oh. All right. Say something. Oh, maybe I got to crank that up. There we go. All right. Say something again. I'm sorry. I'm testing this out.
Something again. I'm sorry.
All right. There we go. All right. We're good. Now we're good. Now I just got to make sure it's coming through on the right end. Okay. All right. How's it going, Messi?
It's fine. I just wanted to come on.
What was that about?
And earlier today, that was hilarious.
Which one?
The whole diatribe speech on how we need to be communicating with people.
Oh, you're talking about Vader?
People, and then they're like, "Oh, well, I didn't watch it. I wasn't looking."
Oh, that. Yeah. So YouTube. So you know what Messi's talking about. We had a debate where the conversation was whether or not LRAD was being used in Minneapolis. And Dibs, who's on TikTok, provided the video. And one of the people on TikTok was like, I didn't see anybody run away. And you can literally see it, like blind as all get out. You could see them running away from this device that they're using. So that was pretty crazy. And that's kind of the reality I feel like we're living in. And it was funny too, because it was hilarious because Vader was like, guys, we just need to like come together, okay? And like just talk. And then like they come in and prove exactly why we can't have these conversations. We can have a kumbaya moment until like, you know.
But until everybody realizes that our First Amendment, Second Amendment, Third, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment have all been violated currently in this moment in time, presently today. Like, it's going to be hard enough to fight what we're going to have to fight with getting things not like they are right now. Like, what's the word? Oh, fuck, I'm tired. Damage control is going to be rough. And if we can't, it's never going to happen if we have half the country saying, well, that's not what I saw, or justifying what this government is doing. Not to mention the fucking files that came out today. And people are more concerned about, what's her name? A supermodel than they are about
Melania?
Campbell, Naomi Campbell. More worried about her and what diamond trade she could be involved in, than they are about the president of the United States being involved in it. That can't be possible. That is just completely crazy. But let's talk about Naomi Campbell. The fuck is wrong with people?
Zipping Link said how much of those files were redacted. So I went through them, and a vast majority of them were emails. There was not really many pictures. There was a couple of notable things in there. The one that has the most attention was very, 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 very disgusting claims. Probably the worst claims that I have heard. They trump Aging Carroll's claims. Okay. And I've tried, because the one thing I try to do is like when there is very like things that hit the core where you want to just like, you know, get up and like scream. I try to be that voice of reason that comes through and goes, hey guys, like these are bad. And this is what I've been saying is like, even if they're just accusations, these accusations alone are extremely damning and extremely bad because yeah.
Was there a picture of Bill Clinton in this drop, or was it the last one where he was in a pool?
That was the last one. And that's the crazy thing, right? Is that they dropped those ones first and then dropped these after. And by the way, I don't believe that they would have ever dropped these. My dog just like knocked over one of the lights. I don't believe that they would have ever dropped these files had it not been for Thomas Massey and Rokana getting up there and saying, you guys need to release these or we're coming after you guys.
Well, I guess that pool that he was in that photo was the Sultan of Brunei's pool. And
Yeah.
then there was a Lauren Petretti that was released that was not redacted, a victim's name that was in the files dropped today. And that links back to like the Hawaiian Tropics pageants. Like there's just
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. And I know like I've not stayed up to date on all the Jeffrey files and stuff like that. And by the way, guys, TikTok language sucks. I just want to say, so anybody on YouTube, that's why. Someone said Erica Kirk getting outed as a gold digger by Candace Owens. Yeah, that one was crazy. Did you see that, Messy, with Erica Kirk and the meeting that she held where
the Zoom meeting that she did?
Yeah.
And how their merch sales had done so great. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was cringy as fuck.
That was really bad. My dog is like going ham on my little green screen. What are you doing, dude? Come here. Got my blue healer over here. She's like a Velcro dog. Yeah, no, the Erica Kirk thing was crazy. And then like I said, I don't know where we're gonna go. I don't know what I'm gonna go to sleep to and wake up to and see. I hope it's nothing crazy, but yeah. I don't know, Messy.
I'm gonna wake up to us invading Iran, honestly.
That's where I'm heading towards. I think that's where we're heading. There's increasing suggestions that that's what they're going to end up doing. Yeah, right, Dylan. 11 days. Yeah, and I did notice, though, they did have a video evidence. They did show the video of her meeting with on the Zoom meeting. And to be fair, again, trying to be as fair as I don't want to be, she did end up crying a little bit and did the little tear dab thing, but it was nowhere near as exaggerated as it was when she was on the stage and stuff. And, you know, I sat there and like, I can't, to me is like the first time she cried, okay, fine. You know, all right, first time. Then the second time you're like, okay, really? Third, fourth, why are we doing the whole crying shtick? This is weird. It was kind of weird. I don't know. I didn't like it. And then to see it's actually kind of funny too, that now that I'm thinking about it, it's funny to see the right wing cheer on the doxing of those individuals that were cheering on the Charlie Kirk stuff. But then they were crying about the doxing that was happening with that one officer with Renee Good. That was
because they're hypocrites.
Yeah, I know. And it gets exhausting, right? How many times can you sit here and go, you know, and I understand Vader's exhaustion on that is like, how many times can we sit here and do, here's another example of your hypocrisy. You know, it's like, how many times can you really do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's
an everyday thing. So, hold on one second. Sorry, my dog's does this thing where she'll go back and forth. Sometimes I'm in the garage, so sometimes she'll want to go inside. They're not hypocrites. You have to have values to be a hypocrite. True, Tron.
That is true.
True.
That is true.
He literally woke up. I don't know if you're referring to me, Elsie, but yes, I definitely did. I would say I probably became a little bit woke. And the more that MAGA goes further right, the more that I want to sit here and go further left. Like, I don't know. It's just like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I wasn't all about abolishing the police or abolishing ICE. But now I kind of think that we should probably abolish ICE, or at least the current framework of it, you know? But, anyways, guys, yeah.
Did you see that?
I did see that. I did see that. I saw that a little bit of the interview, and I don't think that the right understood exactly what they just did to Don Lemon. Right? They did they did this with the left kind of did this with Rittenhouse in a lot of ways, to be fair. But I think that this is the same, that you're seeing the same thing. They've turned now Don Lemon into a hero journalist. He was already, which by the way, he had a lot of publicity as it was to begin with because of a lot of the Jussie Smollett stuff. Right. But now we're seeing this play out again because of them going after him. I just think that Don Lemon's story is up there. And this is the problem is every time I'm like, I think this is egregious. There's something like right behind it that's just as egregious, right? I was just saying this earlier. We had the boat strikes, the double tap on that, right? We had the incident. Yo, Red State, what's going on, man? Red State Rhetoric Media. Guys, listen. Shout out to Red State real quick. All right. Red State Rhetoric Media is a, what is it you say? How do you say it, Red State? You go, America's #1 trusted news source, something along those lines. But anyways, Red State Rhetoric is a great guy. If you're on YouTube and you're watching this, and you're on TikTok, go check out Red State Rhetoric Media. That's where I hang out a lot. We talk about all sorts of things. But anyways, yeah, I mean, it's just crazy to see like every single time there's, oh, here we go. We're LA's #1 non-biased independent news station, TikTok's last free land of opinion and speech. That is his gig. Supporting Trump makes you MAGA. So Dan, I think, so hold on one second. Let me go let my dog inside real quick. Hold on. All right, I'm back. So no, I think there's kind of what I call waves of MAGA. Appreciate it there. I think there's kind of like two waves of MAGA. I call them first term MAGA, second term MAGA. My parents, I would consider as first term MAGA, right? They kind of have these set of ideals. They voted for Trump because he's kind of the outsider, right? They voted for Trump because he's kind of the, the people that voted for Trump because he's a conservative. They have a little bit of reason left in them. There's not a lot of those, by the way, that are in the MAGA movement. A lot of the people left in the MAGA movement, I would say, are the second term MAGAs, which is the ones that are like the J6ers, right? They're the ones that are radical. They're the ones that are kind of delusional and don't have any set of principles other than whatever Daddy Trump tells us. My parents actually, I had a conversation with them recently. Yo, Messi, appreciate that. They sat there and they've actually told me, they're like, yeah, I don't really understand the whole Greenland thing. Now, let's be very clear, not to talk ill of my parents, but to be fair, my dad last year also asked why I was going to a protest where people are supporting undocumented migration. I'm like, Dad, we'll have this conversation another day. Who is Don Lemon? Don Lemon's a reporter. If you don't know who Don Lemon is, I think you're trolling. But anyways, there are nearly 209 billionaires in California. I don't know, Dan, if what you're referring to on that. I'm not surprised, but I don't know if you're trying to say that there's something uniquely wrong about California. There's probably some qualms I have about California, I'm sure. But yeah, I think not regretting voting for Trump is crazy in MAGA. Well, I think, listen, I understand the MAGA mentality. Okay. I grew up obviously in a very conservative household. When you do that, I think people have to understand that you have there's a reason it goes beyond just MAGA being a cult. Okay. The Republican Party in itself is a cult. Okay. When you grow up, there's an identity behind the Republican Party. As I grew up, my parents' friends were blue collar. Typically, they were the people who would, probably watch Fox News, right? They were probably your typical run-of-the-mill Republican supporters. The left was viewed, and still to this day is kind of viewed, as the weaker party, right? They're viewed as the beta male party, right? The blue-haired, screaming into the air party. And so what happens is when you decide, they do this shaming thing to where whenever you decide to try to speak up, they'll say, "Oh, you're X. You're gonna be a blue-haired liberal." I got questioned to no living end when I came out as being liberal to my parents. I don't dare want to try to say this, but if this is how people feel when they come out of the closet, I understand why they're in the closet. Because what ends up happening is you get asked a million questions. It's like, why are you liberal? Why do you do this? Why do you? And it's just 1,000 questions. Um, it's that kind of oppression in the Republican Party that you have to overcome, and that's why I think it's so difficult to reach across the aisle and bring them over to your side. And this is why I tell people, you know, we have to win these people over little by little, even if it means making them come out of the MAGA party and into the moderate Republican Party. So be it. But yeah. Also, guys, I don't typically host panels, but given the fact that no conservatives are daring to come up, and it's already 9:12 where I'm at, I've got to start working on some scheduling for TikTok debates and doing all that. I might just dedicate an entire stream, by the way, guys, on YouTube to doing just TikTok debates. Skip the news. There's no point in doing the news. It doesn't actually translate into any kind of actual videos or anything like that. I can't dig the opportunism, but I get the sentiment. Yeah, I'm not MAGA. I'm just Republican, and that's fine. Listen, I have nothing against moderate Republicans. I engage with Republicans all the time. I have a problem with the MAGA cult. That's the problem I have. I don't have a problem with moderate Republicans. I will say this. Do I think that there is a Republican in my lifetime that I will sit there and ever vote for? There's a potential, but I don't see it in the near future. I think the Republican Party is only moving further and further and further right. I just don't see it happening. MAGA took over because he failed the failed leadership from the Tea Party movement. Just saying. I could see that zipping link. Can't be either or anymore. No, Dylan, I think you can be MAGA or Republican. Now the question is not so much the letter behind your name. The question is what is your sentiment towards the MAGA movement, right? You can be a Republican, for example, and hate the MAGA movement. You know what I mean? So that's something that we have to look at. Much love, buddy. I'm going to grab some dinner, but good stuff here. Have a great night. Thank you so much, RSR. I appreciate it, man. To the extent that there are any moderate Republicans left, they're totally subservient to the MAGA cult right now. I kind of agree with you, Daniel. I think that there are a lot of Republicans now that are very much just kind of subservient to that. I've never voted for a Republican, but I have voted for a Libertarian. And again, Hobby, I think this is the thing that a lot of Democrats need to really focus on, right? I think a lot of Democrats get lost in the weeds with this, and they'll kind of, Messi, by the way, feel free to jump in at any point if you ever want to jump in on this. Because I'm talking a lot, and this is my show, but I by all means, I don't want to hog the spotlight too much. I think the one thing about the Democrats have to understand is that you don't have to get everybody on the Democratic side. You don't have to move them over to the Democratic Party. You just got to get them away from MAGA. If you can get them away from MAGA, you've done good. Okay, now if you can get them over to the Democratic Party, hell yeah, even better. But I don't expect that that's the end result here. Little wins, take the wins. I've seen too many Democrats and people on the left that have sat here and said after the Alex Peretti situation saying it's time, this is time. And they go the communist or Marxist route. And I said, no. Guys, don't do that. Keep the strategy going the way it's going. Yes, be upset. Yes, protest. Yes, get out there, make people feel uncomfortable. But don't accelerate harder than you're already going. You're doing good. 65 is showing to be a pretty good speed. Keep going at 65 miles per hour. A win is a win. Exactly, Zipping Lake. Take what you can. Take the wins. Keep it going. A Republican that supports Trump is, in fact, MAGA. I would agree, Dylan. I mean, if they support Trump and they support a lot of the policies he's doing, I would probably feel safe to go ahead and say they're probably MAGA. So, by the way, thank you, JMeb, for the follow. Thank you for anybody who's already followed. I really, really appreciate it, and I'll appreciate all the shares. Right now, we're up to 5.5 thousand hearts. I appreciate it. I don't know if I'd like to say likes, but thanks for all the tapping away going. Messi, I just saw left. Messi, thank you for coming up as well. I really appreciate it. Spartacus said, I'm a conservative Republican. There's nothing conservative Republican about Trump. Kamala was more conservative Republican compared to Trump, so I voted Kamala in 2024 and Biden in 20. Yeah, I think the thing about it is that Kamala Harris was far more moderate, right? I think it's objectively, she was the moderate candidate. I've told people this many times. I'm like, how many times can I sit here and say, we would not be in this situation if Kamala Harris were in office, right? We wouldn't be in the situation. Like you might say that we would be engaged in the Israel stuff, right? Maybe. It's certainly possible. But I don't believe that we would have been in the situation with Greenland or Alberta, Canada, or Panama Canal, or going into Iran or any of that. there are times when we have elections where you could say, I don't know if I think we would still have a bad economy if someone. No, I think that Trump uniquely has ruined the economy. He's ruined our foreign relations. I think that I can safely say with about 100% certainty that we would not be in this situation had Kamala Harris been elected. In fact, I would say we wouldn't see our spending be as high if Kamala Harris were elected. Now, there's a little funny thing. I have a video out there. It's a very popular video, by the way, where I showed the Committee for a Responsible Fiscal Budget, where they talked about the budget and who would spend more, whether it be Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris was shown that she would probably spend less. And as we've seen with Donald Trump, so far, he's probably spent quite a bit. I can only imagine how much these Trump savings accounts are going to be. The Trump savings accounts are probably pretty neat, but let's be very clear with the Trump savings account, what that really is. So the Trump savings account, for anybody who's unaware, and this is where I'll start wrapping things up, by the way, is the Trump savings account is essentially anybody that is born in 2026 will receive essentially a certain deposit. I forgot how much it is, like $100, whatever. The idea is that it would grow over the next 18 years. Sounds great, except there's a lot of flaws with it. Namely, you have people that can contribute to this, which to me, anytime that a private entity can contribute to a governmental, I guess you could say Social Security fund or whatever, in this manner, where whatever, there's no limitation on it. It opens it up ripe for corruption. In this case, we've seen this with Donald Trump and the Dell organization, right? The Dells ended up donating a ton of money into the Trump child savings accounts. The other issue here is who's managing these funds, right? Because is this going to end up like another Social Security situation where we start dipping into the savings funds, right? This can easily, very easily turn into a scam. Now, let's say we get past all that. Okay, it's going to be invested in the S&P 500. Well, think about this. Dell goes in, they donate however much, say 300,000, 3 million, 300 million, I don't know, name it. That money gets invested in the S&P 500. If anybody doesn't know what the S&P 500 is, it's essentially a basket of different large companies, right? Well, what's one of those large companies? Dell. So good walls. There are good walls to this particular idea, but it is not good in the way that it is implemented currently. Great idea, terrible implementation. One that I believe is ripe for corruption. And we're seeing this, by the way, play out with Trump's tariffs, okay? Trump's tariffs is just another scam, right? Robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? They're going in and they're giving these farmers subsidies based upon the tariffs that, guess what, guys? We have the Supreme Court right now deciding on whether or not these tariffs are even legit. So guess what ends up happening? Supreme Court says, hey, guys, guess what? This doesn't work. Supreme Court says, guess what? I need you to pay back all of the tariffs that you just did. But guess what? You just took all of that money from that account and gave it away. Doesn't that sound a little bit like what happened with Bernie Madoff? Sounds a little bit like it, right? Sounds a little bit like it. And that's exactly what I worry is taking place right now is, oh, trust me, the government will pay back the tariffs, but it won't be with the tariff revenue that has already been taken out. So, as I said, we are living under one of the biggest cons in probably American history. It is amazing to me to watch. It's worse than they're robbing Peter to pay Paul and then make Paul to give it back to Peter. Yeah, like I said, guys, it's crazy to me to see what's taking place. Listen, TikTok, YouTube, guys, I really appreciate every single one of you guys who are supporting me. We are only beginning. This is only the second stream back. I was tempted not to, but I said I need to stick to it. I want to get out there. I want to make something meaningful. We can do it. I know we can. But I am gonna have to get off. It is 9:30. Tune in next Wednesday. 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I think we're going to switch things up. I think we're going to try to jump straight into TikTok, at least immediately. I'll have some news topics prepared, and hopefully we can get some more people in here as well. But I appreciate every single one of you guys. Continue to support us. Continue to watch those shorts or those TikToks or whatever I put out there. I like reasonable straight up center left Democrats. Sub, thank you, Daniel. I really appreciate it, man. I really, really, really do appreciate it. Yeah, that's something that is deep in my heart. Like I said, I'm someone who is a former conservative. I think I give pretty reasonable takes based on facts, not based on feelings. And if you enjoy that stuff, please follow TikTok. If you're on TikTok, hit that follow. Yo, Blossom, appreciate that, heart me. But let's continue to build this community, guys. I appreciate everything. You guys have a great night. TikTok, listen, drop me a follow, okay? Appreciate every one of you guys who jumped in here. Messi, thank you for coming in earlier. Blossom, thank you as well. I will talk to you guys later, okay, guys?